and I have Dr. John Sinclair. Sounds like prestigious guy, but John's a guy who hacks it out in the market, just like us every day. John, how are you?
Good. Can you hear me okay, Dale?
Yeah, got you, buddy. So
Awesome.
I like your charts. Nice
Thanks.
clean
Yeah.
candles and like the background. So
Yeah,
are you
change of
doing?
colors. A little bit of a
Yeah,
fish
so
tank over here now.
okay, so what you doing much the day before Thanksgiving?
Oh, well, the big thing that we were tracking is to see if Nvidia did anything, right? So
Right,
it had the earnings came out yesterday and really kind of
right.
came into a real choppy pattern here today. Let me just go ahead and pull it up just so we can take a look and see what it's up to here. Pre-market, if I have even access to that anymore on this chart. So it's basically, last time I checked, it's opening pretty flat, but I'm not seeing any pre-market data right here, and I don't feel like messing around with it here on TradingView, but
Okay.
pretty flat, right? And kind of what we would expect here going into the holiday, I guess. But what's interesting about NVIDIA is it tended to gap above its, or it tended not to gap for the longest time after earnings. And then basically after the last stock split, we really started to see some major stuff come out in terms of gapping, particularly
Yeah.
with the emergence of the new generative AI programs that are out there, and NVIDIA being one of the hardware systems and also incorporating software behind the scenes. So that's been pretty wild. But right now, choppy sloppy.
Are you surprised? And is there any market tell that we didn't gap on this earnings report?
It was tough. I mean, it's always a guess, right? So one of the big things that maybe it was because of the holiday, they've been used to. What was interesting is Nvidia used to have earnings Thursdays after the close, and it used to be just a great setup. It was like almost like clockwork, a great setup for an iron condor, selling an iron condor, which is an option strategy that captures a premium if it doesn't move, right? If it stays within a certain range. And so
Right.
you could almost bank on that every time. And then of course you have the high implied volatility before the earnings report. And it was like clockwork. There's always that risk, of course, but it was in videos just like, and then you can see here, things just really started to move. This is a quarterly chart here for NVIDIA. You can see, I mean, look how it's kind of floating along here, floating along, and then
Boom.
is AI. So we've definitely been seeing a lot more volatility out of this name. And I was hoping for some action, just to give us something to do before the holiday. But you know what? It's the holiday. It's not a bad time to take a break, and I guess we can say thanks to NVIDIA for that.
Okay. So calm. Uh, certain other sectors have been popping up to life. You following the miners at all? Because we've had some
Uh,
nice moves in gold and
a,
silver.
li- a little bit, yeah, for sure. So let me just pull up the GLD. What's really interesting here is you can see the quarterly chart has been in a range, and the reason I'm
Yeah.
pulling this up is because we're almost done really with the last quarter here of the year. So we've got one trading week left basically, and a
Yeah.
couple like a half day. So I've been looking at a lot of these quarterly charts, see how things are moving going into next quarter. We got a bullish engulfing candle right here, or since we're really not in a downtrend, I like to call it an engulfing bullish candle. That could be an interesting tell here in a lot of these metal type names, right? And then we've been seeing some interesting other moves in names like Oxy on the oil side of things, right? Looks like it might finish up with a red quarter, which is which is interesting. It's in a pretty tight range right here, so we'll see how that goes. We were actually predicting. You could see we were predicting a down move on this one based on the quarterly and seeing if we can get a harmonic up. But so far, it's
What
just
is
kind of
that?
going sideways.
What is that? A Gartley? A butterfly? What is it?
Yeah. This one is probably some sort of butterfly right here, so I'm not exactly sure which one I drew on this. I was just getting some estimates. We had an 886 retrace
Should
here.
be lower today with crude got hammered over the delay of the OPEC meeting.
Yeah,
Crude's down $3-4.
so definitely something to keep on the radar. There might be some trading action going in there today, but definitely looking to see how these quarters close. The big one, of course, right? The S&P 500. I've got. I'll show you the count in a little bit if you guys are interested. But
Yeah.
a really interesting candlestick here. We had the first red quarter in a while, right? After 3 quarters, last quarter, and now it looks like we're going to finish this one green, right? So unless they could do something in the next week to push this thing down, but They shrugged off anything from the FOMC minutes yesterday, and all these data releases are like a day early because of the holiday. And you know, even though J-Pow came out right last time and said basically we're not even thinking about lowering rates, market's like whatever, bullish. So we've got a green candle finishing up here, so we'll see how that closes.
What's your count?
Okay, yeah, so let's take a look. One of the things I also want to point out here, guys, on the monthly chart before I pull up a wave count on this one is look at this candlestick pattern. Although it's not a huge downtrend over the last 3 months, right, which made for the red quarter, right? Look what we got right here. This open and close there's a slight gap here, which means that this pattern is a morning star reversal pattern, right? So very, very close to it. I mean, even though we're not necessarily in a sharp downtrend, Morningstar reversal, and that has pretty high probabilities of continuation to the upside. So that's pretty interesting there. Again, we still have a week left. The monthly chart hasn't closed yet. You know, you never know. We could have some sort of, you know, kind of doji or a little inverted hanging man type pattern. And so when we pull up the wave count on this one, I've got I've got 2 wave counts on this, right? So I've got back from the Great Recession, I've got this trend line that is kind of moving up and intersects with the Corona crash, and of course the rally off of that. So the real question is, what's the count, right? So we have this 1, 2, 3, and there's 2 things that could be happening here, right? This whole thing could have been a wave 4, right? And we could continue to work our way up for a larger wave 5 up, and we're just part of a major uptrend right now. Or you can see I've got this A, B, C, and if it plays out symmetrically, it basically brings us back to this macro upper trend line here. And I think a lot of bears are hoping this happens, but it's really hard to argue with that this green month and the green quarter. And I just want to show you here too, this channel is really pretty funky. If you go to the daily chart here, I pointed out an interesting bounce here recently where we stayed in the channel. And then now you can see lost the channel, and that was of this area right here as it came back and retested. You can see we had a couple red days right there. Yeah. That level was very important for the bears to press, right, to try to get that thing going. So now we're back in the channel right here, and which implies to me that the bullish trend still continues.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, no one's looking for that first count anymore, John.
I know.
I mean, very few.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe that's why it happens now, because there were a lot of people that were looking at an analog from 1987 right before it turned. You know, there was crash alerts out there all the time.
For sure.
It was following it closely till the beginning of the month, the end of October. I mean, this kind of rally that we've had, I mean, I look at your chart, it's the biggest, fastest I've seen.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, we haven't played around with this type of, especially, I mean, you can just kind of look at the chart right here. I've got a daily chart pulled up. I mean, just this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles in a row that were all green and basically continued to gap. We haven't seen that. Golly, I think it was like since like 2020. I mean, here was 4 in a row.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right. It's 4, but not 6. Here we go. Back here. This is back in 2020, but not as big a candle, right? I mean, so this was an angry rally right here.
Yeah. Probably a lot of people BK'd, a lot of CTAs were big shorts.
Oh yeah.
Dale Pinker was short. Yeah.
And had it, you know, and like you said, I mean, you went all the way back to 1987 to try to find some comparables to this. How do you really, unless you just buy every dip, type personality, you're always going to look at this and kind of scratch your head and be like, yeah.
Yeah, and the way it bottomed, no reversal candle, nothing.
Yeah, no, not even even if you wanted a wave count on this thing, there's barely even like a 1, 2 in here, This is like, well, I guess you could call that a 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, what do we go back to the mid channel right here? Maybe. So we'll see. But the thing is that this market's just been brutal, even through the COVID deal, right? It's just been brutal for the bears, right? Everybody expects those crashes anymore, but I think it's a testament to like how quickly the market can shrug off just about anything anymore, right? So it leads you to wonder is like, what would be the next big thing, right? So to kind of get things going. But even
How
here, if you
about
remember, what do we have, like 4 days,
how
and then
about
it's like face ripper rallies on this whole ride down, so, and then the rest was just like, see ya.
how about the banks?
Yeah, so that's huge, right? So that's definitely one that we track, and it's smart that you brought that up too.
I'm pretty smart.
It's well, I mean, just because it's important, right? As go the banks, right? So go the market, and so these are definitely ones you want to look at the semiconductors, right? So of course you got Nvidia and all that crazy. I mean, Intel was crazy the other day. But right now, we got some major levels. I don't have a volume profile in here, but we're tracking it. There's a lot of volume, and you can just tell from the chart even without looking at the volume. You can see here, look, resistance. Okay, well, that level right there of resistance again, and then it blew through it, and then support, right? So it's holding this level. So this corresponds with a volume level 2, and it makes sense because we consolidate and there's volume traded in these little consolidations, right? So this is a huge level for the XLF to hold, which represents a lot of the bigger banks. And so if that drops, we got, the bears could have their day, because we got some nice gaps, right? We got a nice open gap right here, open gap here. We got some levels here that are really interesting. So this was big, but remember, this all started, right, with a couple of these big down moves started with the worry of the Silicon Valley banks, right?
Yeah,
and everybody's like, banks don't fail in threes, and apparently this time they do. So. So we'll see, right? We'll see how this holds. What we do know is that it's getting pretty tight, right? So, if you see any sort of strong volume to break down through this convergence right here, that could be a pretty decent tell to at least say that, hey, some of these levels might get tested. Now, if there's any sort of contagion that causes that could, spread a little bit into the wider market. We'll just have to keep an eye out for it.
Are you in the camp that the bond market has turned? You have a view on TLT?
I honestly, I don't really mess around with it too much, but it has a pretty decent rally here so far. To really be convinced, right, we'd want to see a break of any of these trend lines, right? So we're getting close. It's coming up and testing it. So a nice little push through here, just to throw up a fun wave count right here. A nice little push through here, a retrace, test it again for a wave 2, and then boom, wave 3, finds resistance there, wave 4, and then we see if it can break out.
Okay, interesting. Anything else on the table you want to talk about?
Guys, just kind of keep an eye on the IWM has been really interesting recently. It's been one of the only sectors that hasn't shown or that has been divergent from some of the broader markets. And when we say the broader markets, we're actually looking at, and we talk about this in our group a lot. Really, what is the S&P 500? It's basically Microsoft, Apple, right? So all the big names. What is the Nasdaq? It's Microsoft, Apple, all these names that have been like pushing. If you just look at Mr. Softy here, it's just been, look at that, just plowing, look, fresh all-time highs. This thing's been a monster, right? And so again, AI. So when's that train going to end? We'll see. But the IWM has been, hasn't been as strong. If you look at the weekly charts,
it's been terrible.
Yeah, and you've got some pretty even weighting on these with the different companies. And so, you had Lowe's report yesterday. They're starting to get a little bit concerned about discretionary spending. You've got the whole, students actually having to pay their student loans back now. So, money being diverted in that direction. So, we'll see. We'll see how these smaller caps move. With a couple of these dynamics that are in play. Now, like you said, 2 weeks ago, the IWM was red and everything else was green. But again, it played catch up. So, but keep an eye on that. That's there might be some moves there, right? As if everything else is green in IWM, is IWM going to catch up, or is it kind of giving us some indication that that things might be a little weaker under the hood?
Okay, John. Well, John, what would be the best place for people to follow your work, get involved with you?
Oh yeah, well, you guys, if you want, you can follow me on X.
Yeah, I know. I'm still adjusting to that too.
At
Dr. Trade with Dr. John.
Trade with Dr. John, and I've got tradewithdrjohn.com. You can find me on YouTube. My handle is Trade with Dr. John. So you can come meet me there, and yeah, so just see a couple of the ideas that we have out there. So we're always researching and always analyzing. So and trading in between.
Okay, well, Dr. John Sinclair, have a great Thanksgiving to you and all the traders you work with. Hope it's a very nice holiday for you and you finish the year strong.
Thanks, Dale. I appreciate you as always. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and thanks to everybody for listening to some of our ideas.
And I'll talk to you next year, John.
Okay, take care, Dale. Thanks again.
All right, Dr. John Sinclair, follow him at Trade with Dr. John. And that's a wrap. Thanks again, my trading warrior brother. Everyone have a nice holiday, and don't just count your pips, count your blessings. And I'll see you Monday. Adios.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.